Salam sejahtera, salam akhir intipati pada masa Ane Sayong dan apa khabar semua. I'm Azmi Abdul Aziz. I'm the Director General of the National Archives of Malaysia. The National Archives of Malaysia is a public office in the Public Service Department of Malaysia. It was established on the 1st of December 1957. When a disaster happened, seldom people talk about how to protect the documentary heritage. Risk management is important, taking action before, during, and after a disaster. It is all about how you plan in encountering a disaster. Losing a documentary heritage means that we will lose our institutional memory. We will lose our records on the civilization of the people. We would lose the records of the transaction when we do our administration. So this is not the responsibility of the National Archives only, but we believe that it is also the responsibility of all the officers, especially in the public office. The main concern or the main threat that we see in our experience is that people don't really understand how to react when a disaster happens. We see that people don't really know what to do when that disaster happened to them. From our past experience, we had this big flood in 1970s. We see that a lot of documents and records were destroyed because we were not prepared. Once the records and this document being affected by the flood, actually it's very hard to salvage them. For us at the National Archives of Malaysia, we had our disaster response team as early as in the 90s. That is, as I mentioned earlier, that when the big flood occurred in 1970, we already identified, we already recognized that without a proper response team to act when a disaster happened, it's very hard indeed. So we did establish disaster response team, which is headed by a division head at the National Archives, comprising members of the different sections to assist in helping out when a disaster happens. It can encompass together as well with the disaster response team who look into the life of the people, the properties of the office, the equipments, and other things that need to look into. But looking into protecting the documentary heritage must also be included in their standard operating procedures, so that the matters of protecting the documentary heritage will also become the needs and priority when a disaster happens.
NAM's manual encompasses 3 stages. There is before, during, and after. The before stage includes preventive measures put in place to mitigate disaster from happening. Some of the examples of our preventive measures are: first, repositories are built according to required specification. Second, repositories need to be equipped with the right tools and equipment. Third, we conduct periodic inspections of buildings and equipment to prevent potential hazards. This is to ensure all automatic fire detectors, fire extinguishing systems, and alarms are functional. It is also meant to ensure that there are no leakages. The during stage includes documented steps and procedures in salvaging records. During stage refers to steps taken after getting approval from the relevant authorities like Fire Department or National Security Council to enter the affected areas. The steps are: first, we analyze the extent of damage on the affected documents. Second, documents with minimal damage will be segregated. Third, restoration of damaged documents will be carried out by the affected agency with the assistance of National Archives Disaster Response Team. The after stage include repair and restoration processes.
Dengan air. Bukan dengan pelus kosong. Kan? Itu kalau paling nipis. Kalau paling lalu air bersih. Satu.
Features of damaged documentary heritage. Paper-based materials usually damaged due to wet, muddy, affected by termite, fire, sunlight, fluctuation of humidity, and human factor. Audiovisual materials damaged due to heat, fluctuation of humidity, chemical reaction, surface crack, and scratches. Damage due to natural loss is controllable and can be restored. However, damages from disaster cannot be controlled and involve massive damage to the materials. Only a small percentage of the material can be restored. We restore the damaged materials according to archival restoration processes, which is in the line with the international standard and procedures. NAM trained its staff on how to survey and conserve the affected records, as well as manage the situations. Apart from that, NAM too takes the initiative to train civil servants based on case-by-case basis. As for financial matters, we don't have special allocations for disaster response. We use existing departmental operational budget. Our advice for others who do not have sufficient allocation. First, get sponsorship from the private sector as their corporate social responsibilities, and collaborate with other related agencies to be part of their disaster team. NAM's operational begins when instructed by management upon approval from the related authorities.
In terms of training, we collaborate with Fire and Rescue Department of Malaysia.
Our fire department focuses on rescuing people and the building. Meanwhile, National Archives of Malaysia focuses on rescuing documents only after the fire department ensures that it's safe to enter the damaged building.
We normally organize emergency drill exercise once a year and also send our emergency response team members for training. Okay, this was coordinated by human resource section, training section, and conservation section.
We arranged the emergency drill with the fire department without prior notice to the rest of the staff. The operation drill includes: first, set the alarm. Second, the emergency response team will direct staff to assemble at the rally point. And third, demonstration and practical on how to put out the fire by the fire department. Lesson learned from the drill. Emergency response teams member able to respond in case of fire before the fire department arrive. Among skill and knowledge acquired by the emergency response teams are the right use of the fire extinguisher and hose drill, CPR technique, and also technique of rescuing people.
Okay, the training provides awareness and equips staff with necessary skills and knowledge to ensure quick response during any disaster.
NAM's experience during the massive flood in 2014. Expenditure incurred. Overall, it cost Ringgit Malaysia 33,000 or USD 8,000. This operation took 2 weeks with the involvement of 10 National Archives of Malaysia staff. All the surveys and conservation job was done by National Archives of Malaysia disaster response teams. We received full support from the National Disaster Response Team, such as National Security Council, National Disaster Management Agency (NADMA), Army and Police.
We had a collaboration with NGOs as well as the community and the society at large. We had consultation, we had our exhibition, we had talks with them, we had cooperation in terms of communities' well-being, and we will continue doing that in order to educate community as well as society regarding the importance of preserving their documentary heritage directly, so that the understanding, the knowledge regarding the importance of preserving the documentary heritage will be able to be disseminated as well as be made understood. The importance of having this documentary heritage not only for now but for the future in that sense.
For the MOW member states, NAM would like to advise them to develop departmental and national plan on disaster with legal binding. If a national archive does not have a disaster preventive plan, they can refer to the following resources. First, Managing Disaster Risk for World Heritage developed by UNESCO. Second, Risk Preparedness, a management manual for World Cultural Heritage prepared by ICROM, UNESCO, ICOMOS and WHC. Third, Emergency Planning for Records and Archive Services by IRMT. And finally, the IFLA Disaster Preparedness and Planning, a brief manual. As for prevention, the member states should have updated master list of their records and identified vital records to ensure continuity and survival of the government. We need to give priority to our records, be in its normal circumstances or during disaster, as the records are evidence of country's existence and to protect the rights of the citizens.
I believe that preparation are very important in order for us to encounter disaster that will come. In this world now, with the accessibility of internet, the social media that has been circulating, the platform that we can use such as YouTube, all the experience, all the knowledge that we have regarding proper risk management can be shared and can be circulated to all the people who have access to it. A proper equipment, a proper understanding, a proper standard operating procedures are needed for the people to be able to be prepared for a disaster